Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing 7 all new Christmas DIYs. To create each one of these projects today, I will be using the WeCreat Vista 10W, and I'll be showing you a step-by-step on how I create the designs and then also how I cut and engrave everything. And I do want to thank WeCreat for sponsoring today's video. Now let's go ahead and get right into it. For DIY number 1, I'm first going to be going in the WeCreat Make It program, and I went up to File and selected Create. For this one, I'm just going to be choosing a image that I've already purchased on Etsy. These are already done and ready to go for me to cut out. So here I'm just going to be selecting the ones that I do not want to use, and also like where it says the fonts in black and purple, I'm just going to go ahead and delete those because I'm only going to be using one style to create an ornament. So once I have all of those ones deleted and I have the 2 designs that I want to cut out, I'm then going over to text and selecting that. And I'm just going to be typing out the name Austin. That is my son's name, and I'm going to be creating this ornament for him. I'm then going to go back through and change the font of his name, and for this one I really like the font called Strong Farmhouse. It's a really pretty script font. Next, I'm just going to be resizing that down, and I want it to fit right inside of my snowflake, and I also made sure over on the right hand side that I made it to fill engrave because I'm going to want the name engraved inside of the snowflake, not cut out. Then I hit refresh. Now, before you see inside of the machine, you'll see that I'm placing my 3mm cherry wood inside, so that now when you look with the camera, which when you hit refresh, it shows a camera view down inside of your machine. So now I can see exactly where I need to cut. So for the 2 snowflakes, I'm going to be cutting those out. So I selected those and then changed those to cut, which you can see over on the right hand side. And then for my son's name, I'm then just going to need to resize that so it will fit inside of the snowflake so that it will engrave in the correct spot. For the engraving, I left the power at 100 and then I changed the speed to 100. And then for the 2 ornament shapes, I left the power level for this one at 100 and then I did the speed at 3. I then hit the button on the front of the Vista 10 and then it engraved the name perfectly. And then as you can see here, it's cutting out both ornament shapes. I'm still fairly new to working with a laser machine, and so far this one has been so user-friendly. The WeCreat Vista is a 10-watt compact flip laser engraver and cutter, and it can do so many things. It has a rotary attachment for engraving mugs, tumblers, and so many other cylinder objects. And it has a 90-degree flip laser module that transforms from this standard horizontal position to a vertical position without using any risers. Now you can see my ornament shapes are cut out, and for the solid one, I'm just painting that with a red chalk paint. And then for the top one with the engraved name, I'm using a metallic gold paint from Folk Art, and I'm just doing one thin layer of that, and it's kind of got like a shimmer in it, which is beautiful. And I just hot glued that top snowflake ornament shape onto the solid one. I'm then using some of this white cotton cord. It's pretty thin, and I'm using that as the hanger on my ornament. So I just tied that on the top, and that finishes off this beautiful ornament. Here is a closer look of the ornament all finished. I love how you can really customize these, and I think they would make for perfect gifts this holiday season. Next is DIY number 2, and for this one I'm starting in the Make It program once again. I went to Create and then just selecting an image that I already have. This one is from Etsy, just says Merry Christmas, and I purchased it I believe for about 99 cents. I'll have everything linked down in my description box. I also changed it to cut since I'm going to be cutting it out of my 3mm cherry wood. I left the power at 100 and I'm changing the speed on this one to 4. I then hit refresh at the top, and it's now going to be showing me the image of inside of my machine on my wood. And then now I can just resize this and then place it where I'm going to want it to cut out on my wood. Here you can see the Vista 10, again, cutting out the words. And I will say, if you are new to laser cutting, that it does take a little trial and error to figure out exactly like what power and speed works best for different types of wood. But once you get the hang of it and figure out what works best with your machine, you can make so many projects in no time. Now I'm going to start putting my project together. Here I have an unfinished wood ornament shape. This one is from Michael's and I just had it in my craft stash. I'm painting it with a red chalk paint, and then for the top portion of the ornament, I'm using that gold metallic paint from Folk Art. I just think it is such a beautiful color. And then I'm using a white paint marker to paint the words that say Merry Christmas that I just cut out on the Vista 10. Then to add a little bit of detail to my ornament, I'm using my white paint marker to paint over all of the slats. And then I'm just going to be hot gluing the words Merry Christmas right in the center of my ornament. I did want to add a little something extra to the top, so I'm taking some small greenery pieces that I had left over. I'm hot gluing them on the top portion of my ornament, and then I made a really simple bow out of this jute ribbon, and I'm hot gluing that right in the center of the greenery. Here's the ornament piece all finished. I love the look of this, and the font that they used to create this design is so beautiful. You can hang this in the center of a wreath or just hang it on a hanger or your tree. Now moving into DIY number 3. For this one, again, I'm going into the Make It program and I'm just selecting import, and I'm importing an image again that I purchased off of Etsy. They have so many really great designs. So for this one, I'm not going to be using all of the images that were in the design. So I'm first just going to go through and start deleting all of the ones that I am not using. Now that I have all of the images that I'm going to use from that design on my canvas, I then am just going through and changing the images that I'm going to cut to cut, and then all of the ones that I'm going to have just a line engrave to line engrave. Now for all of the lines that I have in between or on my gingerbread men and then in my candy cane, those I'm leaving at a power of 100 with a speed of 100. And then for all of the cutting that I'm doing, it was just a speed of 100 and the power level was 3. So I did the refresh and it's showing me what the wood looks like inside of my machine right now. And I just resized everything, and now I'm cutting and line engraving the design. As you can see, the cutting is beautiful, and then also the engraving. So this is all of my pieces cut out and engraved, and now I just need to start putting everything together. So for the little candy canes, obviously I am going to be painting them red and white. And to do that, I just use a white paint marker for every other line and then a red paint marker on the opposite lines. For the 3 gingerbread men, I'm painting them with a color from Folk Art called Raw Sienna, and it's the perfect gingerbread color if you ask me. And then for all of the little details on the gingerbread's eyes and for his buttons on his belly, I did those with a black paint marker and then used a white paint marker for the details on the arms and legs. For the words that say Gingerbread Baking Company, I used my red paint marker to fill all of those in. For the larger rectangle piece of wood for the back of my sign, I painted that with a white chalk paint. And then for the frame of that sign, I stained it with a wood tint from Folk Art in the color Walnut. And then my camera shut off and I didn't get to film this part, but I took a red string and I strung all 3 of the gingerbread men onto that string. And then here I'm just gonna start putting my sign together. You can see that I've already glued the frame onto the backing. And then here I'm just getting all of my words centered the way I want them to be. And then I'm just going through and hot gluing them down on the upper portion of my sign. And then for the bottom of my sign, I'm just gonna have the gingerbread men go kind of like swagged underneath those words. I just used some hot glue to attach that string on the inside of the frame on each side. And then to add a cute little detail, I used that same red string and I made 2 really small bows, and then I'm using some hot glue to attach those on each side of my garland. For the 4 candy canes that I have left over, I'm hot gluing 2 of them together in kind of like an X shape, and then I'm going to be adding them to the very top of my sign. I'm doing 2 on the left hand side and 2 on the right hand side, and to attach them I'm using some more hot glue. And then here is the sign all complete. For this one, I love that I was able to take some of the images that I purchased from Etsy and then make my own sign out of them. Obviously, you could definitely make the design that the creator had, but I really love this one. Moving into DIY number 4, for this one, I'm going into the Make It program, and for this one, I'm importing a design that I've already designed, and I just did some stocking name tags for my son, my husband, and I. I just did a tag shape, and then I typed out our names in the luxurious script font. Now, as you can see, I'm going through and clicking on each name, and I selected weld, and that is to weld all of the cursive lettering together so that the Vista doesn't just cut out each letter individually. Then I refreshed it, and now it's here on my wood that I'm going to be using, and I'm just changing everything so that the names are fill engrave, and then all of the tag shapes are going to be cut out. Now for the tags, I'm using a power of 100 and a speed of 3 to cut those out. And then for the fill engrave, I did a speed of 100 and a power of 100. As you guys see at the top, I hit auto measure. This is because I'm using a different wood than I was using before, and the Vista 10 measures the wood so that you can get a perfect cut every time. So here I'm using some larger masking tape. I have used this before when I've engraved, and I think it really helps when you're engraving so that you don't have like burn marks around the lettering. So here I'm just using a piece of that on my wood. Again, you guys know I'm new to lasering, so I'm still figuring these things out, but it engraved the names and then cut out the tags. And now here I'm just removing the tape, and I think it looks really good. So next I wanted to add some of this gold metallic paint. So I'm just very lightly in a thin coat putting that over top of all 3 of my tags, and then I'm adding this really pretty green ribbon on the ends. I really love the look of these, and they were actually really easy to create. Now on to DIY number 5. For this one, I'm going in the Make It program, and for this one, I'm just typing out names. I'm going to be doing a second set of stocking name tags. So again, I'm just typing out the word Austin, and then for the font, I'm going to be using that luxurious script font once again. So here I'm just welding those letters all together so that they're going to be in one cut and not cut individually. And then after this, I'm going to go up to offset, and I'm going to offset the name. And for me, for this one, I liked the way that 5.9 looked, so I chose that one. I then wanted to create like a little hanger on the end of this, so I selected the circle and I'm just drawing out a circle. I did go through and make a second circle because I'm going to be placing this one inside of the first circle. So I did make the circles locked so that they didn't keep moving around like different sizes. I could just size them down or up. It wouldn't actually like change the shape of the circle, if that makes sense. Then I'm just taking those 2 circles and I'm placing them to where they're a little bit overlapped of the offset that I made for the name. And then I actually created another Austin name because the one that's in the offset, that one I'm just going to have a line engraved. I'm doing a power of 100 with a speed of 100. And then for the like offset, I'm going to have that portion cut out. And then for that little tag that I'm going to, or the holder, I don't even know. I'm going to put string through those circles. So here I'm highlighting those together with the offset. And then I went up to merge, and then I'm just selecting merge the two together. So now that I have everything selected, I'm having the Vista 10 cut everything out. And here you can kind of get more of an idea of the design that I made. And then for the bottom portion that was offset from the name, that I'm staining. And then the name Austin, I'm just using a white paint pen to paint those letters in. And I did the same thing for mom and dad also. I just already told you guys the steps, so you didn't really need to see me do it 2 more times. And here you see I just used some hot glue to attach the cutout word to the offset. And then I added a red ribbon in that hole on the side that I created. This is what the name tags look like all finished. I really like how these ones turned out. And again, really easy to do. Next up is a DIY number 6 for this one, going in the Make It program, and I'm importing those snowflake ornaments that you saw earlier. These ones I did purchase from Etsy, and I just think they're so pretty, so why not use them again? Here I'm just going to be going through and deleting the ones I'm not going to be using for this project. I am going to be creating a set of earrings from these. I thought they're beautiful ornaments, why not make them into earrings? So here I just resized them, and then I'm selecting cut. For the power level, I'm actually going to be changing it to 90 this time, and then the speed at 3. I do want to tell you guys about the Make It program. In the library, they have over 2,000 design projects that you can choose from, that you can make, and then they have thousands of SVGs and new projects that are added weekly. You can see I use the built-in top view camera to show the design on my wood. It's now cutting out the ornament snowflakes or earrings. And then this is what they look like once they've all been cut out. I cannot believe how perfect it cut these. And then I just thought they would be really cute if they were just white. So I used my paint marker to paint the front and back of them white. I'm just using some of these little earring hooks. These ones I picked up from Michael's. Just using some pliers to pull the little metal piece apart so that I can place the earring inside of the hole. And then the pliers, once again, I just squeeze them tight to attach them to the earring. This is what they look like when they're all finished. I think they're so cute, and I am going to be making so many more of these this holiday season. Now for the 7th and final DIY for today, I'm going to be pulling up and importing those gingerbread designs from Etsy that I used earlier, only this time I'm going to be creating a different design than I did before. So here I'm just going to go through and kind of like last time, just delete all of the images that I'm not going to be using for the design that I'm making. Now that I have only the images that I'm going to be using on my canvas, I'm going through and just changing all of the ones that I'm cutting to cut, and then all of the ones that are just going to be line engrave to line engrave, and then just changing the power and speed for each one. And pretty much I'm doing the same as I did throughout the video, with the speed for the line engraving at 100, the power at 100, and then for the cutting I did like 90 I believe on these ones, and then the speed was 3. So now that they're all cut out, I can start painting everything and getting it all together. For this one, I'm painting it with this antique green, and that would be the cutting board. And then for the little rolling pin, I did that red. I did the Santa hat red, his scarf red. And then for the hearts and the accessory piece for his hat, I did those with my white paint marker. And you guys, I will leave the link down to the Etsy shop that I purchased all of this stuff from down in my description in case you guys were wanting to purchase them as well. So the gingerbread man, I painted him with that raw sienna color, and I just used my black paint marker to do his eyes and his buttons, the white paint marker to do all of the little details on his arms and legs, the hat, And then I'm just using some hot glue to glue the pieces of his hat and his scarf onto the gingerbread man. And then for the hearts, I hot glued those in the center of the rolling pin. And since they were so small, I did use some tweezers so that I didn't burn my fingers all up. And then this is what it looks like once everything is together, and I just think it turned out so cute. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I hope that you will consider subscribing. Please don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. I love hearing from you guys down in the comments telling me which project from today was your favorite. And I do want to thank WeCreat again for sponsoring today's video. Thank you so much for watching.